We're going to be talking about letting go of the analytical mind, how to let go of the logical thinking, the overthinking, and really learning that you don't need to use your analytical and logical mind, especially to be present.
This is a continuation of the presence series that we've been doing. If you haven't checked it out, I'll link some videos below that teaches you the basics of practicing present moment awareness. And it's really important to check out those episodes before you check out this episode, or check it out after, or whatever you want to do. When you learn how to be present, you just naturally quiet your mind. In the moment when you're being present, you're no longer possessed by your thoughts, you're no longer possessed by your mind, and you're able to quiet your mind pretty drastically in the moment. And one of those things that I immediately began to realize in the beginning of my presence journey is that I didn't have to think anymore. I realized that my mind wasn't a calculation tool. And that was one of the biggest realizations that I've ever had. Up to that point in my life, I was a huge overthinker, and I thought that's what you use your thoughts for. You use your thoughts to overthink everything and try to control everything. And so I was struggling with my thoughts this whole time. Just to understand a little bit about the nature of the universe, you want to understand that everything works itself out. The reason why quieting your mind works is that you don't need to figure things out. You don't need to control things. You don't need to think about anything. And when you just get out of the way, everything takes care of itself. So when you stop analyzing, overthinking, you're getting out of the way. You want to understand the vibrational nature of the universe as well. It's problems and solutions. When you are trying to figure something out, when you have a money issue and you're trying to figure out how to make money, you're trying to fix this issue, you're thinking about this issue, you're being logical about it, you're thinking about it, you're analyzing about it, versus just being present and quieting your mind and just not even going into those type of thoughts. When you're having those thoughts, you're in a vibration of the problem. When you quiet your mind and don't think those thoughts, you're allowing the vibration of the solution naturally without trying. It just naturally happens. All you have to do is drop the thinking about these things, drop the calculation about these things. All you have to do is to be present. So you pick a technique that I've talked about, or just be deeply present or deeply observing your thoughts. And like I said, check out the other videos and you will know what I'm talking about here. Once you're able to just be deeply present throughout your day, you're going to see that as you quiet your mind, these analytical thoughts are going to come at you. Like, these analytical thoughts are going to try to pull you out of the present. So all you have to do is stay present. And when these worries are coming at you, like, think about money right now, like worry about money right now, all you have to do is stay in presence, stay quieting your mind, and don't go into these thoughts, because these thought patterns of worry, they're waiting for you to like pick them back up. Once you know how to be present, you have the choice of thought. When you are present, then you have a choice to pick up these worries about money or relationships or whatever. You have these choices, and all you have to do is not make those choices to overthink these topics. But at the beginning, it's easier said than done, because when you have worries and stuff come up, it's a reflection of resistance that you have. So it feels very real. The danger feels very real, right? When Jasmine was going through it financially, like, I'm sure it wasn't just like, oh, let me just like surrender real quick. Like, I mean, just like a part of it feels very serious and dangerous, right? Like, oh, I'm about to die. Like, I'm about to go in debt for the rest of my life. It's always going to feel, especially in the beginning, like life or death, right? It's just gonna feel like I need to think, I need to energize my mind. And this is one of like the biggest problems I see with my clients when it comes to letting go and practicing presence and quieting their mind, is that, okay, we start quieting our mind, they do a good job, and then they start to overthink, like they start to analyze things and they don't realize it, right? Because we've been analyzing our whole lives. We've been using our mind as a calculation tool our whole lives. So they're being present, and then they go to the grocery store and they start overthinking about money. They start to like try to like figure out their bills, and then like, like budget for the week or the month, and then like they're trying to think about how they can make more money and how they can advance their careers, and they're doing all this mental calculation and stuff. Now you're re-energizing the mind, right? I talk a lot about how presence is how you de-energize the mind, because you're no longer possessed by the mind, because you're pure consciousness and awareness. But you can practice presence and then just start going into the analytical mind throughout the day and not realize it. Now you're re-energizing the mind. So for some parts of the day, you're doing a good job of being present and de-energizing energizing the mind. And then like the next part of the day, you're doing all this mental calculation and you think it's normal and you don't realize it. And now you're just refeeding the mind. Now you're in this endless loop of mental chatter and stress that people don't know why they can't get rid of it, even when they're practicing presence. It's because they're overthinking. They go back into their mind and they don't realize you don't have to do that there's an alternative, which is just to stay quieting your mind. Anytime, right? Like you practice presence and the urge to overthink comes at you, that's the time to go deeper into the present. The more you do that, the more you make that choice, the more you're letting go and surrendering. And every time you do this, the pattern de-energizes and gets easier and easier and gets less and less stressful. As you practice presence, your mental chatter, your energetic mind, the negative momentum of your mind should almost like get smaller and smaller, and things get easier and easier to handle. But you're feeding that negative energetic mind when you're just in the state of analyzing and stuff. So there's like literally no need to analyze. Like I became deeply present in my senior year of high school. I realized I'm going to make this decision to fully let go, to fully quiet my mind. And my mind was screaming at me to just give that up and go back into the mind. Like don't quiet the mind. Don't turn off the analytical mind because you're going to die. Like you need it to survive or else your world is going to fall apart. But I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to keep quieting my mind and being deeply present and see if my life falls apart. I've been thriving ever since. So when things come up, I would just keep quieting my mind instead of thinking. And it got easier and easier. And I started to see things keep working out better and better and better for me. I learned through direct experience that this works. I was in my senior year of high school. There was homeworks and tests. I was taking like advanced classes. I would take all these tests without thinking. That's completely quieting my mind, staring at the paper and just taking it. And I had the best year of my academic life. You know what I'm saying? Like you could do it for just anything, right? Social situations, doesn't matter. Like my social skills started like I used to struggle so heavily socially, and then I literally being deeply present and just deeply quieting my mind and not thinking about what to say completely changed my social skills like forever. When you're quieting your mind, you're channeling source 24/7. You can't figure out what source has in store for you, right? Like through logical thinking. But on the flip side, when you quiet your mind, you're channeling source, right? You're allowing source. And for me, channeling source is the norm in my everyday life. I want to introduce you to the new you, the new norm, which is you are fully channeling your higher self. You are one with your higher self. This should be a normal state of being. Like just be deeply present. Watch for what is calling you out of the present moment. What is making you want to think? And that is where your resistance is. When you're just being present and chilling and like your mind's like, yo, stop chilling, stop being present, like focus on this thing. What is that? And that's resistance in your vibration, right? That's what you want to stop feeding, right? And when you stop feeding those things, your life is only going to get better. So for a lot of people, I just recommend tomorrow, like start being deeply present. Hopefully the people who've been listening to this have started practicing that. Notice when you're wanting to think, probably pretty often, and you can stop thinking about all that, drop all of that stuff, or drop one at a time. But you're going to see your mind fight back. Your mind's like, yo, please start thinking about me, but you know what to do. And like I said, it's a reflection of resistance and all that.
And so on that point, so okay, let's say like someone's just starting to practice presence and they feel that impulse like to really think about this situation come up. So it's like they're trying to be present, but it's like the energy is so charged. Like, would you suggest thinking about something else or continuing to go back?
For the beginner, for sure, to go back to the no thought. But here's the thing. If something is really heavily like bothering you with a lot of momentum, it probably means you've gotten triggered already. So for that day, you're probably already triggered by it. And so you want to start tomorrow morning, freshly, start new, just be deeply present first thing in the morning, quiet your mind. And when you are present, you have the actual choice to stay in the present or feed these analytical patterns, worries, whatever you want to call them. And if you just make the right choices to stay in the present moment, these other patterns of worries will start to lose energy and die because they need your attention, your identification with them to survive. So for the beginner, yeah, just put all of your attention into effectively practicing this. Check out the other episodes. Chip away at it every single day. Start in the morning, do this as much as possible, but chip away at it. Like just make progress, right? You're not trying to reduce the whole chatter in one day. Like just do better every day. It's okay to have rough days. It's okay to give up. It's okay to give in to your worries. Like that happens to all of us. It still happens to me and Jasmine, I'm sure, on some levels. So it's all good. It's all good. But I just want to give everyone this alternative to what is possible. And I promise you, like,
as a complete beginner too, it's like, all right, I'm not supposed to think about my problem. I should stay present. I shouldn't think about it and be in the non-thinking state, non-logical state. So how the hell is my problem gonna work out?
things naturally are supposed to work out. You don't have to do shit, but you just have to experience this for yourself. Like once you
Yeah.
realize like things naturally work out, you just gotta get out of the vibration of the problem, and you do that by stop overthinking. Things will just work out, right? Just go with the flow, move with the flow. Part of doing that is quieting your mind and letting go of these negative thoughts. Like I said, like chip away at it. Like if you just have no faith in the universe right now, like then just just chip away at
Yeah.
it. And when things start working out a little bit, you might be like, oh wait, maybe I could do a little bit more of this. You don't have to take the full leap of faith right now, but I did. But I was able to because I had like spiritual practice experience before I applied presence. Once I discovered like deep presence and stuff, I was able to just immediately fully surrender, like off the jump. And it was the best thing I've ever done.
And I think that's why it's so important to keep up and maintain your practice, because it's like those little issues in your life, you're going to notice honestly instantly start to resolve themselves, and that's going to make you more than prepared for like when the big shit or like the quote big shit comes up, like where you just feel so triggered because you're already going to have like that confidence, like, oh shit, like, all right, like I know what to do now.
The big things that happen to you aren't random. They're just your resistance and triggers being and patterns being reflected back to you, right? So there's not like, oh, you're dealing with this random scariness. It's patterns already active within you showing up, and you clear them and things just continue getting better and better and better. Last thing that I want to share, I see this problem with a lot of my clients. They practice presence and then they start to think about presence. They start to figure out how to be present rather than just directly being present. And this is a huge fucking problem every single one of my clients have. We would practice presence, or they tell me how they practice presence and stuff. I can always feel in their vibration, like they're always like stressed about it, trying to figure it out. Like, so they're practicing presence, and at some point during the practice, they start to go into thinking about presence, right? So they're quieting their mind, they're quieting their mind, they're quieting their mind. At some point in the day, this seductive, impulsive energy grabs them and makes them think about how to practice presence. They start to think about presence. That is a big realization I want everyone to have, is there's a huge difference between being present and thinking about presence, figuring out how to be present. The clients who struggle with this, it always comes with this feeling of stress, this feeling of this weird stress that they can't get rid of. That stress comes from something. It comes from something active in your thought. A lot of times when people practice presence, sometimes they tell me, oh, they feel like a certain level of pressure and stress from it. 99% of the time, it's from them literally trying to figure out how to be present and think about presence. And when I'm coaching someone, right, I tell them, like, I see a lot of times they're trying to like think about what I'm saying, and I'm like, stop thinking, just receive with your quiet mind. Just receive. Stop thinking and figuring out what I'm saying. Feel that difference? It's like when you're listening to this podcast, are you like thinking and trying to figure out what I'm saying and trying to like hold on to every word, or are you just deeply being present and receiving with your soul, like receiving from the quietness of your mind? People don't realize they're doing this, and it's hilarious. This happens like every one of my clients, like every one of them. So have a presence practice it with everything that you have, starting from the beginning in the morning. Really quiet your mind, and when you think you need to calculate and analyze, like, don't do it. Chill, and things will just get better and better. And now you're aware of this, and now you have no excuses.